Pamax Biotech is a company dedicated to biomedical research in the field of neuroscience and its applications in sport, e-sport and medicine. Its main objective is to improve the neuromotor performance of athletes to make them more effective. The brain, with its different areas associated with each other and the enormous amount of neuronal connections, make the central nervous system the fundamental piece that determines how human beings are, how we think, how we act in our environment and in day-to-day situations. All this is developed from our childhood to old age. Biomedical advances are a reality, and it is now possible to understand in a general and particular way certain aspects that until recently were impossible. Improvements in neuroimaging equipment, such as functional magnetic resonance imaging, near-infrared spectroscopy, computed tomography and brain stimulation equipment, such as transcranial magnetic stimulation, transcranial electrical stimulation and others, determine highly personalized approaches to subjects. The spectrum and approaches of this technology are multiple, but our business and research focus is in the area of improving the athlete's neuromotor skills and reducing functional recovery times of injured subjects. Traditional sports and soccer in particular have an important impact on our society. Therefore, large economic resources and technologies are used to improve the performance of the players and the show. In addition, many of these resources are used in other areas of society and indirectly result in substantial improvements for society in general. Neuroscience is increasingly present in professional sports. After all, the enormous strides that have been made in the knowledge of human physiology, sports materials, techniques and training methodologies have been evolving exponentially. However, knowledge of the brain is one of the great milestones that science is trying to address, as it is the most studied subject in medicine and the least known. To give an example, the neuroctomy of the C. elegans, with 300 neurons, took a decade to formalize. In contrast, the human brain has 1 billion neurons per cubic centimeter and our brain has 1,400 cubic centimeters. In addition, each of these neurons is in turn connected to 20 or 30,000 other neurons. Neuroscience plays an important role in sport, since the mental and psychological aspect increasingly influences the preparation of an athlete. The brain is indispensable for high performance. A high-level athlete needs, apart from optimal physical condition, a great mental and psychological preparation. For this reason, neuroscience has an important role in sport. An athlete or a player has to control their stress and anxiety and their emotions in order to respond to any adversity that comes their way. Neuroscience is used in high-competition sports to understand the relationships between the brain and the motor possibilities of our body. Or to understand the incidence of various factors in motor learning, such as fatigue, thirst, anxiety or sleep. Neuroscience gains importance in sport. Neuroscience helps an athlete to be better able to face decisive situations in a competition, especially in important situations. In addition, it allows us to understand the relationships between the brain and the motor options of the body of an athlete. This science can give information about how the brain acts in physical activity or how to coordinate body movements effectively. We must not forget that in sports the frontal lobes and the cerebellum are essential, which is in charge, among other things, of mechanizing the complex sequences of the specific movements of each sport. So the more you develop, the easier it will be to control the necessary muscle fibers at all times. The fear of failing and of learning can completely block a sport. In sports such as tennis, cognitive abilities and managing emotions play a very important role in achieving high performance. The clear example that neuroscience is very important in this sport is in the Spanish tennis player, Rafa Nadal. Since one of his strengths is his mental strength, that is why in the important moments of the meetings he knows how to handle anxiety or fear and has a great capacity for concentration. Mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are essential in sports activity, since they are activated when we perform a specific action or see another person do that action. They allow the actions or emotions of others to be their own. For example, in the initial phase of learning in soccer, thanks to mirror neurons, the coach can show the players how to perform a certain movement. These neurons also make the players synchronize with the rest of the players in team sports by observing their behavior. Liverpool's experience in the field of brain stimulation has had great media repercussion, but it has not been the only one carried out. Pamax Biotech has a more complete program because it not only addresses brain stimulation but adds other neuroimaging techniques that give real-time readings while the brain is stimulated even in training and can modify them according to the player's needs. This technology can also give information on the relationship between efficiency and effectiveness. Knee joint injuries have been a major burden in sport, with anterior cruciate ligament injuries being by their nature one of the most important. Pamax Biotech employees for 2 decades have performed the recovery of more than 2,000 athletes with such pathologies, and due to its incidence we have developed a boot model that minimizes the anterior cruciate ligament injury. Practical tests show that the average resistance of an ACL reaches 755 newtons, and with our prototype it is necessary to reach 990 newtons to cause the fracture. For this reason, we have already started to develop a clinical trial with award by the European Medicines Agency of its corresponding UDRA identification. For all of the above, it has been of interest to Pamax Biotech to design a soccer boot that minimizes the risk of injury, and for this reason we are working actively, both on the research program itself and on the patent for the invention and commercialization of the product. Having opened the possibility of obtaining capital and collaboration of third parties for this whole process, and that propitiates the corresponding economic benefit. In addition to the conventional treatments for functional recovery after surgery, we have developed programs that combine classic protocols with others of applied neuroscience that determine a better neuromotor recovery and result in time reductions in the recovery of athletes. In the case of soccer players, we are able to start field work from the second month after surgery. In general terms, the reduction of the recovery times ranges between 30 and 40% of the normal times established for the recovery and nature of these injuries. Another market niche in which we are working is that of esports, since it is closely linked to brain work and in which the volume of business is enormous. Due to the skills that players can develop, neuroscience and its techniques are considered an ideal tool to improve activity and performance. The neurosciences cover enormous fields, and those in which mental processes gain real importance and relevance can help the subjects perform their functions better. Within this section, the Army can be a perfect scenario, since in stressful conditions good training together with greater neural strength determines better performance. In general, we can improve reaction capacity, concentration, better decision-making, visual acuity, improve efficiency and neuromotor performance, automate movements, improve creativity thanks to the development of our anterior cingulate, reduce reaction times and fatigue are properties that can be favored by the use of technology. Our interest at a business and professional level leads to possible synergies that can be developed between the parties, and that this can determine the development of actions in favor of our clients, financial balance, and that personal benefits are obtained for the subjects that use our programs.